you don't mind, like, to maybe, like, hear about what just, like, some of kind of maybe, like, after we've kind of wrapped up about our campaign, I'd love to also, like, maybe ask some questions about the other campaigns and, like, obviously a lot of the campaigns are character driven, so there's always going to be those
totally. I'll put a disclaimer right up top. If you are my player from another table, don't fucking watch this. Don't watch this. Turn off right now. Yeah, I'm very happy.
Or listen until we
or listen or don't, or you know, I'll give you a spoiler tag.
We'll give a heads up.
And were you gonna say something?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that your DMing in this game was just like supreme, bro.
Thank you guys so much. I'm really happy that you guys had fun and
so much.
And I wanted to give a quick shout out to Luna, who started the campaign with us, our beloved Klarga. And also a quick shout out to Lindsay, our beloved Harper, for like stepping in when I needed a third. Yeah, mid-campaign, and you took the reins. You were ready to play, and like I think that would have been very challenging because we were fully halfway through the campaign, literally almost exactly. Like Klarga left on like episode 18, so technically you were here for like 12. Yeah, that's math. 12 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And or 20. Yeah. This is episode 40. I'm on a lot of medication right now, so like, anyway, and I also wanted to shout out Jay, who literally watched every single one of these, even though, and you know, he also plays in my home Witchlight game, and after every session, even though he was like asleep, because he has work really early, he'd be like, "You did such a good job. They had so much fun." So I just like really appreciate that. So special shout outs to Luna and Jay.
Yeah.
That's
a big deal. That's beautiful.
I guess we'll start with what kind of happens after the events of the last episode. You guys each got a wish. Meow Wolf took an IOU, essentially. It sounded like Zindi was gonna go back to the Witchlight Carnival and, like, you know, kind of do some things with that. Harper was gonna stay and serve the queen. And it was semi-implied that Meow Wolf would maybe go back to the Soggy Court for at least a little bit of time. Yeah. So who wants to start with what they have their characters do?
I'll start. So Zindi, so after the receiving their wish, Zindi learns that they'll be able to easily travel between the Witchlight Carnival and back home to have to connect with their mom and brother and stepdad, which is really exciting because it means that they can, you know, be there in Willoughby's life, but, you know, not have to like be at home, since Zindi never really liked that. And Zindi returns to the Witchlight Carnival, which, I mean, return might be actually generous because Zindi had only worked one day at the Witchlight Carnival. So Zindi returns for their first day, and is elated to find their good friend Klarga. For Klarga, not that much time has passed. It's basically like Klarga kind of stepped through the portal, and Zindi kind of almost just appeared shortly after.
It was at max maybe a few hours. Like,
got it. And you know, Zindi just hugs Klarga and is crying and tells him all about their adventures. And Juniper Berry is just like so fascinated by the Witchlight Carnival and is just honestly really excited to be around so many other giant, majestic beasts that are also super intelligent.
I bet she gets along great with Durlagron.
Absolutely.
Yes, she does. And she starts to make really good friends with the Displacer Beast daddy, who is so happy to have his little baby Star back that we rescued.
Oh yeah.
Zindi and Juniper work hard on their two gal show and of uh of Juniper Berry, the half elf tamer, which is
too cute.
a riveting twist on a classic circus trope that involves song, dance, miming, theater, and also spoken word poetry from the titular titular and hosting owlbear. Uh, Zindi invites their family to the opening show, and they're so excited, so proud of them. And when Will comes to visit, he is still kind of bummed that he didn't end up getting to have Snoodles as a pet. But Zindi promises that they will during Zindi's next break, they'll take them to the Soggy Court to visit their old friend Meow Wolf, and so Will can spend some time with Snoodles. I guess that is it, and Zindi has a great time being a bard for now.
So I guess my question for Zindi is, does she ever pursue anything with Eliwick?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think that
Hello?
Did it just drop?
I think it just dropped.
Jasmine's
For
like
both
thinking
of
about
them?
it real hard.
Dang.
I was so curious.
Yeah, I'm on the edge of my seat. I want to know.
Edge of my seat.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Oh,
can.
Now we can.
You dropped real bad though.
We're so interested.
We were.
We were.
Hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you
Yes,
now.
absolutely.
Oh, okay. What was the last thing you heard?
What you were starting to tell us what was happening with Eliwick, and we literally just we heard the first word.
All you
and then
said was
dropped.
I think, and then nothing.
And then nothing
else.
Well, I said that I think that Zindi is not super interested in pursuing romance for the time being, and is gonna, at least for the next couple, whatever years or half equivalent of half elf years, focus on the thing that they really came to the Witchlight Carnival for, which is performing and making lots of friends and having a just kind of feeling like they have a place, and that ends up being achieved. But yes, they stay in touch with their they write, Harper and Zindi write letters, and Zindi has plans to take Willoughby on a spring break vacation to the Soggy Court.
So cute. And of course, you blackmail Mr. Witch and Mr. Light into unionizing the carnival.
Oh my god, how could I forget? That was like I was literally like, when I was thinking about my story, that's what it was going to be. So yes, that's why Zindi is not pursuing Eliwick, because at on Zindi's very first day, basically every new friend that Zindi made, Zindi immediately just broached the topic of labor rights, the importance of living wages,
Real
and
casual.
the power of of workers joining in union, and those thoughts were not lost on her comrades. Haha, no pun intended. I guess pun intended actually. And after just some organizing and a little bit of blackmail, with just the threat on their reputation, the WLU 99 is the first unionized carnival in the plains, and they get the owners to negotiate after talks that probably lasted a little bit longer than they needed to, but they were ultimately successful. So Klarga finds great success in is ultimately elected president of the union.
Oh, of course. As someone who was born and raised in the carnival, she knows exactly what the carnival workers' deepest desires and what their wants would be, and is also very good at negotiating, and she's very intimidating. So that works in her favor.
Hooray!
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 Who would like to go next, Harper or Meow Wolf?
You want to go, Harper?
Go.
Me?
So Harper has her mom back, which is really
Yay!
exciting. I think after everyone kind of like parts ways and we're like everyone is getting reacclimated back into the kingdom, I probably try and set some time to like talk to my mom and ask her, you know, like what happened, why were you sent there, I found the letters, I know where you were, blah blah blah, like why didn't you tell me that you were going, that sort of thing. And I think once we like hash all of that out, there's this burning vengeance growing in her heart when she hears how her mom was treated in hell. And I think that at some point she makes it known to both her mom and her queen that she kind of wants to go kick butt in hell.
Ooh!
Very nice.
Because nobody touches my mama, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, at some point in the near future, she starts to like plan that. And then in the letters sent to both Zindi and Meow Wolf, probably asks like, I know we just finished something, but do you wanna help kick butt in hell?
Very cute.
That's great.
So then, I don't know, we'll see if we all come together again.
That's the post credit scene, like Harper writing a letter, being like,
It's
round 2? Question mark?
It's the literal, like, you guys know, like, at the end of, like, movies where they, like, kind of hint that there's going to be a second one? That's, like, what that would be. That's great.
Yeah. Or you walk into the armory, somebody, and they're like, Harper, but you've just returned and the castle's back to normal. Well, not for me. I'm going to hell. And we see this new
You put
side of
like
Harper.
really sick shades on, like
Kill Bill. Kill
Yeah.
Bill Harper.
Kill Bill Harper unleashed. That's amazing.
That's great. I just had an image of a bunny going ham to doo 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 doo.
Incredible. Oh my gosh. I'd also like to think that like Mom kind of retires, you know.
Yeah.
She's done enough.
Yeah. She gets treated like a queen herself, although depending on like any future big like coronations or balls that we might have, she might come back in just to help a little bit, but they're very minor things to assist Zybilna. And I'd imagine that part of rebuilding is also rebuilding relationships with other courts.
Mhm.
So Harper goes and travels again to try and find people who might not know that she's back and spread the good word that Zybilna's been saved and that the kingdom is whole once again, and hopefully we can all rebuild together.
Yay.
Yay.
love it.
Harper is putting in the good work.
Oh
She never rests.
yeah. Taking on hell. I love it.
Yeah.
Walking around, start spreading the news.
Yeah. Meow Wolf. What do you get up to?
I mean, well, I was not ready for the realness of becoming a king to fall into my lap, but as soon as I was reminded that you know the bullywugs haven't had a frog king in a long time,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I'm like, well, I guess like this is the family that I never knew.
Oh.
Yeah.
And literally, I take the kingdom, and I have Blanc as my consort.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, yeah, so Blanc
You,
is like
you finally
literally...
made consomme.
Yeah, we finally made consomme.
Oh, so cute.
That bone broth, I tell you what. So yeah, no, so basically, Bastion.
Yes.
Bastion is literally like the royal mascot, along with Snoodles and Keeks. So like literally the flag of the nation is a croc, a bat, and a massive frog.
That is the cutest
Like,
ever.
I love
Like a little coat of
that.
arms. Like, oh.
Yeah, so like literally the coat of arms is them, like on the flag, and they're
the whole Trinity.
yeah,
The Holy Trinity.
yeah. And literally Snoodles gets educated and gets like the highest of educations. And he gets like expert battle training, and he's gotten massive. He's gotten massive because, as it turns out, we just thought he was regular croc, but he's actually like a race of intelligent crocs. He was just inbred.
Amazing.
That's so much funnier.
He is. He literally like turns his species back around, like.
Yeah, like he almost went full regular croc on his own species, when literally like he comes from a race of really sentient crocs.
Super sentient crocs.
He's just royal. He's just royalty.
Yeah, he's just royalty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
And
Blanc his tutor? Is that right? I mean, if your consort is like this like intelligent researcher, it makes sense that the culture of the Sagi court might have a major change now.
that's exactly right. The Soggy Court values education first. So, like,
You
Yeah.
make sure all the
our
bullywugs get like education
literally,
and
free
Yeah.
education, free healthcare. It's like unionized working. Like literally, like the bullywugs couldn't be happier.
oh,
There's we made like swamp like we didn't keep the swamp because everything changed over, but we made specific swamp holes for the all the animals and like creatures that like swamps. So like there's like a swamp side, not swamp side. Uh
oh.
yeah, so literally everybody can go to like the international library and such. And like all the royal books, like copies have been made of them, and they're just like they're available to the public. Everybody can read.
I love that.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
of the many letters that Zindi sends, now truly the king, is so, we always thought that you had a little thing for Blanc, or maybe even that Blanc had a little thing for you, but how did you pop the question, my lord?
So I'm writing on my desk responding to this letter
Oh,
about how basically I just summoned Blanc to the court, knighted him, and he asked to be my consort, and I agreed.
Of course. How absolutely silly of me to think that despite my lord being one of the bravest frogs I've ever known, bravery in love is not one of those things. That
No.
Blanc
oh.
that Blanc's the one. Blanc's the one in control in the relationship here.
No, like truly, like I've lived a lifetime of almost poisoning people to death. So
You did
so
tell him
my
right away about the new gloves, though.
yes.
Hey.
Just
I sure did.
FYI, putting this out there.
If it's on a glow, it's good to flow.
Yeah. Oh, so cute.
I did,
Aw.
and as I'm writing my response, to Zindi about like how great the court is, a pigeon shows up. A pigeon shows up at the window with a scroll strapped to its leg, and I open it, and it's Harper's letter about going into the depths of hell.
Nice. And then
And
you switch out the letters for
yeah,
the one to Zindi. You write like another sentence
right.
on it.
Right. I like sign off what I was saying with Zindi, strap it to the pigeon, send the pigeon out, and then I call Blanc over, show him the letter, and he goes, "It looks like our kingdom's gonna go to war with hell."
Yes.
And,
Badass.
and literally,
Yeah.
and then I was just like, we must alert everyone in the town. And and literally that's where we leave off, and it like cuts out for us.
Cute.
Aw. Do you? Oh yeah, go ahead, Em.
one last little thing, and obviously Keeks is the drill sergeant of the armies.
Oh, dead.
So he's just
I'm
Of
dead.
course. Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
always in tiny little armor, and he
So
always
cute.
talks about the battles with the crazed witch bitch that he fucking like he was the one that spearheaded killing her. So like, and he's just like the drill sergeant flying back and forth for the armies.
All of
Amazing.
the every single episode of this campaign has an alternate Keeks POV.
Yes.
With him narrating, and also him somehow being my God, I was just roasting
main
how bad this
character.
movie was. Yes, but like Lion King 1.5 vibes of like everything that like somebody else did. It's actually like Keeks is doing it in Keeks' version.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Somehow Keeks consorted with Meow Wolf about Ice Knife all the time.
Yes.
Yes. It's actually Keeks saying "Estás pinche," but like in his like really heavy New York accent. It doesn't make sense, and like probably the recruits are like, "What? I don't. There's doubt, but everybody's too afraid."
Pinche. In the name of Stas Pinche, we move forward into battle.
Oh my goodness, that's perfect. I love that Keeks has a job now, and I'm sure he loves it.
He's the hardest drill sergeant ever.
Yeah, he trains up the new recruits really well, and he's got and he parties really hard with them too.
Well, him and what was his name? The other one with the accent. The dwarf?
Elkhorn, yeah.
Elkhorn, yeah. No, Elkhorn stayed with us. Like, so Elkhorn is chilling. Yeah, literally, Elkhorn is chilling in the kingdom, and Elkhorn and Keeks are literally like best inseparable buds because they like head the army together.
Oh, that is the cutest thing ever. I guess my only question for Meow Wolf is, do you ever cash in your IOU? And if so, what on?
Ooh.
I'm obviously gonna cash it in the depths of hell.
Okay. You're like, I'm saving it for a rainy day.
Like quite literally, like when I get the note, I look to Blanc and I'm like, let's tell the town. And I might have to call upon her again immediately. So like literally, I'm like, well, didn't think I was gonna have to use this right away, but here we are.
So cute.
You do. I mean, you do have everything. You are a king, which I mean, I'm surprised that given how naturally you took to you almost took to the Lord title and any factions, that it would have been challenging, but you know the real deal is always different than the interview.
I think Meow Wolf having a true people for the first time is really life changing.
Yeah, because quite literally, like I never got respected as far as in like as a druid. It was literally like I got taught spells, but they were a joke, like, to the actual druids. And, like, I had more magic than they actually could contend with. But, after living
you're like a king of people like you, bringing them a leader that they, like them that they never had. You got a honey bunny, you got so many cute in appearance, in personality, challenging pets.
I imagine Snoodles now speaks incredibly eloquently, and he's like a very fancy boy.
He also knows like 3 languages.
Yes. Oh. Now he's completely fluent in Sylvan. He also knows a little bit of Goblin. That is 3 of the cutest stories I've ever heard, you guys.
Thank you.
Beautiful wrap-ups.
Yo, I gotta say, Dee, you brought me to tears when you had the mirror scene and you like told us what our like deepest dreams were. Like you just took a couple sentences of what we said and you like went ham on it. Dude, that brought me to tears when you did that.
Oh.
Because you literally, like, with mine, you, like, literally, like, laid out exactly how I'd like to die in real life.
Oh.
And I cried that session. It was really beautiful.
That is one of, like, the couple of times where I got to do, like when we were on the mystery mine, when we were in the mirror, and then with the stained glass visions were 3 of like my favorite things I got to do, because you guys could have really interpreted it how you wanted to, and like Harper was very much like, oh, the mirror just shows me what I want. And then the mystery mine was really interesting because you guys had just met and you guys weren't sure of of each other per se. And so each of those things, like, narratively were so fun because it wasn't up to me whether or not they were going to be true, right? Like, it was kind of up to you guys. But it was I really like doing like those like true insights into characters, and then the how you guys interpret them is always really interesting to see.
It was like spot on. It was like spot on. It was spot on. It was great.
Thank you. Any questions about characters or like plot or?
Okay, so how powerful was the one we turned into a beetle? Because you were like,
Oh, great question.
because you were like really like, oh, he was powerful. So like, how powerful was he?
So the League of Malevolence had a lot of casters in it, right? So they had like a warlock, a wizard, a cleric, and Warduke was I believe he was a barbarian or a fighter, and so he really had the highest hit points, and he could pack a punch. The other ones were a little bit more focused on spell casting.
Yeah, wizards are soft.
Yeah.
But fighters, man, they're like literal tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a relief that we didn't have to go against the war tank.
Yeah.
Yes. I was definitely scared for you
guys.
That
was a great use of that spell.
Yeah,
Harper.
that was a fantastic use of that spell.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought to do anything like that, actually.
Polymorph, like, really saved your guys' asses twice.
It's true.
You know,
either that or do that to the hag, because like I just felt like I know that we knew that the way to defeat her was through some sort of eclipse, and we didn't know like how powerful she was and like what she had up her sleeve. So I think it's great that like we blinded her and that the twins were like doing their job of like trying to fuck her up as well.
Yeah, so getting Gleam up there first invisibly was clutch.
Yeah,
I think we handled that. Like, we like had some really like good strategy. Like,
yeah, I gotta say that the imagery of tossing fucking little bugs at the enemy was hilarious to me.
Yes,
like things that you thought were gonna be my snack later gave us flanking.
Yeah, that was all clutch. Like, the strategy behind that last fight, it really showed your guys' progress from first hag that you guys fought to third hag that you guys fought. Because I would say, like, the first fight was, like, you guys cheesed it a little. Like, you were like, polymorph, we caught her by herself, dunzo. Second fight was definitely a lot harder, but you guys had the majority on your side, because you guys were just like, we have literally everyone we've ever known. And then the third fight, I just wasn't sure how it was going to go, because a lot of that stuff, like, you guys had the League against you. Yeah, you had Valor's Call, but a lot of that is really dependent on how you be rolling that night.
And I wasn't rolling great either. There were so many nights I wasn't rolling great.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a couple of times where we were having just like a bad...
Snoodles was botching every roll.
Yeah.
Literally, Snoodles is a shit roller.
He did escape with his life and the Jabberwocky, which I was so shocked about.
Well, he did die briefly. He was making death saves.
He was making death saves, you're right.
He did briefly, like, go kaput skis. Yeah, that was like the fights were really incredible too. I gotta say, I wanted to mention that like there were just so many moments in the game that were just so innovative, and I was just so inspired. Like one of the ones that really stands out in my head is when Zindi convinced those. I think it was like what were I think they
Oh
were
yeah,
goblins.
yeah,
The goblins
the
convinced them
darklings,
that they
yeah, trinket
yeah
and char or trinket and
like
bobble, because they were just
like
like
literally
Oh,
absolute goons. Yeah.
was that
convinced
the
them it was a
with the
fucking ice
unicorn
cream
horn?
cone. Yeah, you convinced them it was an ice cream
That was
cone
clutch.
instead of a
Yeah.
That was some of the
horn.
funniest shit. I also shout out to Zindi for the time when I think you rolled something stupid high. Like you rolled like a nat 20
Huh.
and it became like a
Yeah.
29 or something on like, I'm going to perform the saddest song of all time to distract the guards. Like there's a lot of
That's
times when bards have ideas that are just like absolutely left field,
Incredible.
like could maybe work,
um
could maybe not work, and the times that
it's
you were in it, it was great.
yeah, I mean it's interesting, right? Because it literally only works. I mean, I guess you could say this a lot about a lot of D&D, but like I think specifically for those like insane, like just totally like cheesing it, like crazy ideas, like only work when for bards when you like actually like when you like nail a roll, and if not, then there were many instances where you saw Zindi absolutely totally fail and or totally forget about some key Feywild mechanics like the that many people cannot be charmed. Still
Yes.
Yeah.
trying. That
But
Zindi
honestly,
absolutely not Jasmine forgetting.
that's still in character though for the
Yeah,
characters you built.
Hmm.
That would
for
be
sure.
because and honestly, what I loved about all of us, just as players in general, is that we could take a critical fail and make it hilarious as a critical as an actual crit.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, critical fails are crits in themselves, and are some of my. I feel like are just they're just so because it's so silly. Because I have just absolutely silly humor. Um, uh, I just want to call out my own use of what is the dumb spell? This is one of the dumbest shit I've done. The 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 stinky cloud,
Oh,
and
that's
it just
Oh
being
yes.
a fart, just a nervous
Amazing.
fart.
Fantastic. That's something
if
that
you
is so rare for new players, and I really do commend you guys on
Mm,
that. Like, especially Jasmine, because this is your
thank you.
first thing, and like,
Hmm.
like a lot of players get so sad when they critically fail, and they take it as just a complete loss. And every time I felt like you guys, quote unquote, failed a check or like got a nat one on something, you guys were able to turn it around into like a really iconic moment. And like some of the funniest, best parts of the campaign came out of a mistake or a whoopsies, and it was always like you guys kept a lot of like levity in something that was meant to be really dark.
Yeah, because right, it's not like I totally can totally understand why, like especially new players would like think of it as like a fail, because I mean sometimes when you're trying to do something very specific, like I feel like when you're like casting a spell or stuff like that, like in our last fight, like I was just rolling so bad and I was like, okay, this really sucks. But like when you're like trying to do things, it's like I feel like less of like a success and more of using the dice to help you
Mm-hmm.
create, or just like create randomness and like guide what the story is going to be, and like you use that to do the outcome. And that's what's so fun, because I've always struggled with like story and character stuff. Like I'm a visual artist, but like I've always just been like, I don't like I work really well. I mean, it's usually how I think it's very common, but like when there's like really a lot of like structured rules and then like improvising within the rules. And so D&D is really fun for that. Um let's see. I had a question. Oh, so there was like a whole a whole like potential side quest, and I was like, nah, I'm okay. I think I don't need another like 3 to 4 months of this campaign, despite how much I
Sure.
enjoy. Like Zindi and the rest of the crew going to guys, my dumb ass again, because when I first started this I was like, Dee was like, so where's the town you're from? And I was like, I don't know, Schmokeland. And so Dee bringing that back and like actually using, like, it made me like, I was just like, that's what I did to myself. I'm
You're like,
from Schmokeland.
I made this bed, now I have to lie in it.
So what can you like just give a little bit of like what um
What that arc was
that
gonna
story
be?
was gonna be? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I wasn't lying when I said that I had prepped for the possibility of going there.
Hmm.
I basically had a map, and like the idea was the elves had like kind of sequestered themselves within like essentially a pocket dimension while everything was
Hmm.
like sorting itself out. And that the centaurs were going to be there with them. Um,
Interesting.
and this, like, we had kind of brought up how the elves were not very nice to Zindi because she was a half elf. And I was going to be like, oh, the proximity of the centaurs and the elves like living together like has really changed a lot of minds. And basically, I was gonna take like a people can change like approach to that,
Ooh.
and and just be like giving Zindi a little bit of like uh closure, I guess, on the bullshit that she had to put up with. And you know, be like, my family's happy, uh and she was maybe gonna, you know, meet some people who she knew and they like would have apologized. But yeah, basically I was just gonna have a little like people can change, societies progress, and like
Mm.
and they kind of like realize that they need other people, like they like the elves realize that the centaurs like provided them uh like protection and also like worked alongside them to like keep up the pocket dimension. They had like respect for other races now.
Interesting. That's so great. And I that sounds like it would have been such a really, really like satisfying arc, especially because the character was like
You
Oh,
kind
you're
of cut
cutting out a
cut
little
it out.
bit.
Like everything you said,
A little bit
basically
of
was
garble, yeah.
Just towards the end.
I think that's so interesting just because I feel like, one, I just think that's a really interesting story. And I love that. And it feels like really kind of like cool, like world building.
Mhm.
I feel like always some of like, okay, I know that, has anybody played Tears of the Kingdom? The Zelda Tears of the Kingdom?
I haven't, but
Okay.
you can tell me.
So it's the sequel to also the famous Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it's set in the same on the same map pretty much. And I think everybody, including myself, was like, damn, the same? That's ridiculous. However, it was incredibly satisfying because it's like between like 3 and 5 years later. And just like some of like the most interesting world building things come from like, like visiting a place later. Like how has it changed? And like just really natural things like, yeah, crazy like outside just like events like weather, or in the case of Zelda, like whatever evil goblins coming in places like causing like immigration and like how does that change like the towns and stuff like that.
Mhm.
That kind of discovery was always really interesting, so just a really interesting take. I also think like an interesting probably would have been a really interesting character arc, just because I think like the character of Zindi was like, I think you totally like caught on to like kind of like, yeah, being like, I don't really want to go, and like holding on to a lot of stuff, and like probably what would have I I'll just say now, I can like see like what would have been the interesting arc would have been now Zindi's the intolerant one. Or,
Well,
you know,
yeah,
right?
Zindi had been hardened by the circumstances that she felt as
Of
a
course.
child, right? And
Yeah.
so she is like that is part of Zindi's arc already. Like you had a lot less patience for things, and you were very guarded at times, and I think basically being shown like vulnerability and such, because the other thing too is like a lot of this happened when you were like pretty young, and so of course that affects you now, but I think it would have been healing for Zindi to hear some apologies and maybe just see like the good in people when she knew there wasn't as much good as before. It was easy to see the good in like Klarga and Meow Wolf and Harper because that's all they ever showed, right? But yeah, that would have been it. It would have been a cute little side quest. But I also thought it was really interesting when you were like, no, I'm not ready to go back. Like I have a mission to do. Because for so long in the campaign, like your number one thing was, I'm gonna get my mom back. And then when that
Very
happened, you were like, you're good. Bye. I need to like continue on with my big journey of like restoring the world so it's safe for everyone. So I think that was a little bit of growth too.
Cool.
Kind of a not so like, or maybe it is, I don't know. Like, I'm just so curious, were there any other people trying to stop the last hag as well? I mean, I feel like that's kind of like a yes, obviously, because we found those people like frozen in cages above green goop, mystery green goop. Who were those people?
So everyone that you guys had seen frozen were basically people who had been at the palace in the, like, on the night that it fell. I'll say, the module didn't actually have those characters, like, very fleshed out. They, like, one of them didn't even really have a name.
So they left that up to you to.
They basically left it up to me to do whatever. I was basically gonna play into like. I kept going back and forth on how I was going to portray Zybilna. I was like, because I never saw Zybilna as 100% purely good, right? Like she was clearly doing shit that, like she was really obsessed with the hells. And then, like, you guys found, like, a couple of, like, questionable things. Like, she sent your mom off without really an explanation. She had, like, these people in cages, which you couldn't discern was her or one of the other hags. So, it's supposed to be, again, the module has Zybilna be a lot more gray than I think I portrayed her. I wanted her to be a little bit more benevolent because of Harper. Like I was like, there's no way Harper would be trying this hard to restore a queen who she felt was bad in some way. And I also thought it was very noble of Harper to try and get Zybilna back, even though she could have easily blamed her for the disappearance of her mom. Honestly, I felt like Zybilna was the best choice for Prismere, and so I portrayed her as a lot more benevolent. But she was doing some things, as a lot of wizards are wont to do, that the random person would maybe be like, hey, this is slightly questionable. Her obsession with the hells definitely was on the negative side. And she was maybe dabbling in magic that maybe some other wizards would call like dark magic. But it was truly to push her magical abilities to the max rather than like gain all the power. Like she's already an archfey. This is already real powerful, you know? So I think she just wanted to, she was truly like a magic like student and experimentalist like at her core.
I think the reason why Harper was so gung-ho about like saving her and protecting her is because she grew up in the kingdom. She was literally born in the kingdom.
Mhm.
So her perspective on things outside of the walls at the time, she probably like she doesn't think that what Zybelna's doing is wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, she wants to figure out how to work like a wish spell. Great, pop off, sis. Like, you know what I mean?
And I think some of that too maybe came from Harper being a wild magic sorcerer. Like, she could, like, there were times when you couldn't control your magic. So the idea of a wizard who could control her magic and wanted to progress it enough to, like, be super powerful for you was fine. Like, you're like, that makes sense to me. Of course, that's what any magic user would do. That's what any magic user wants.
Another driving force for Harper to save her was like she fucking already lost her mom and now she lost her home.
Yeah.
If she knows that there is a way to do it, like she didn't want to lose another thing. Especially someone who basically at that point essentially helped raise her.
Yeah, totally.
So like she didn't want to lose anything anymore. So yeah. I actually had a question for my comrades.
Yeah.
Did you guys catch that the hags were... Well, hold on. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
are a player at another table, turn this shit off.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Did you guys catch that the hags and Zybelna were sisters? And that Baba Yaga was their mom?
Oh, no, not at all. But that's awesome.
Oh, I knew that they were sisters, but I did not catch who their mother was. That's really interesting.
So...
It came up in convo a couple times.
Yeah. And like...
But it was real subtle. No one was like, hey.
So I will admit, I knew that going into the campaign. This was something that was known to me, but I had to make it like, you know, hush hush. So when it finally came up, for me, I was like, oh my god! We see the picture! And there's a house with chicken's legs and blah blah blah. Oh my gosh, maybe they'll put 2 and 2 together. And then it didn't. And then it was like, oh!
That's cool. Bye.
My sister! Talking about my sister and fuck her and blah blah blah. I'm like, maybe this is it. No, okay, great.
Yes.
I wanted to spill the beans so bad.
It's true. We could have definitely narratively had Harper spill the tea, but we definitely wanted it to like be a big reveal.
Yeah, those are connections that if they don't get spelled out to me, it's gonna be really hard for me to make those.
That's fair. There was a lot of characters. I think something I learned about this campaign was it needs to, like, I'm for sure maybe not gonna have as many characters as they throw. I kept fairly by the book, like as far as like plot beats, what was gonna happen, blah blah blah. Obviously there was some stuff that I homebrewed a little bit, but like for the most part, like all the characters, all the named characters were in the book, and were meant to come along or not come along or whatever. Something you didn't know, Harper. So Skyla, who is the warlock for the League of Malevolence, her patron is the Baba Yaga. And so I was like, oh, I had plans for if the battle starts to go really south, I had contingency plans of like Skyla was going to turn and like fight for you guys at the behest of Baba Yaga.
That would have been so dope.
That's really cool. I gotta say that just in general, like D&D campaigns, like I definitely need to start keeping a log of all the NPCs.
Yeah, I definitely struggled, like, especially there were like quite a few characters that had similar names. I felt, and so I was like, what? I mean, I didn't, I was not embarrassed by asking. But yeah, probably being a little bit like focused.
I think it's also really hard, like, especially with modules, because, like, a lot of modules are just like, anyway, so here's this character. They pop up for a couple episodes, and then you never hear or see about them again. And you're just like, wait, so did they matter? Did they not matter? Like, and I spent a lot of time being like, this person comes back around. This person comes back around. Like, mentioning people again and again. But there were other people who I'm like, I got nothing for this person. Blanc and Bastion and Molly the wizard, those were all homebrewed. Those were all my own creation.
Really? Those were the best characters.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, totally.
The frog, the whole Frog Prince book and like plot arc, that was also my own homebrew.
Oh, girl. Okay, because I feel like that incredible edition, I feel like that was just like so, like it added like a lot of intrigue, and like I think that just the like chance that Emma chose to play a bullywug, not bullywug, I'm so sorry,
A Grung, yeah.
How dare I?
Those are two different species, Jasmine.
Like it just ended up being, and just, I mean, and the fact that like, look, like any like Meow Wolf, Zindi, or Klarga could have like become like Witchlight Carnival, but just like just the way the dice rolled, it all kind of fell into place really well. It almost felt like it was something that was, like planned, but it just how this version of the game played out. And it was really just, it worked so well. But like that, it was so much so that I was like, was there a bot? Like I never, none of the homebrew content I was ever able to be like, feels like G made that up.
Oh yeah, I mean, thank you.
Everything was very seamless.
Yeah, I think I got the idea because for some reason we had talked about, like, we had gotten on the subject of Meow Wolf and like romance and like da. And when you were like, I've never had like a love interest, I was like, this is an incredible opportunity that no one ever gets. And it was really interesting because it was very much like, will they, won't they? And I really fell in love with Blanc and like playing him, and like his character was so like real for me. And I really liked how like having this like love interest for Meow Wolf that wasn't so just spelled out as like a romance. And then Molly came from literal necessity. Cause like I was like and this is probably something I'm gonna change in my third playthrough, but like there is no like town or like anything like that. So I was like, these guys need a safe haven. And I just was like, all right, they made a wizard. And then I ended up really falling in love with Molly. I think you guys did too, and it worked perfectly because I was like, I need to, get these kids out of here. I was like, we have like 12 children. I was like, I need to offload them on someone. My question for y'all was, what did you guys think about the Frog Prince like prophecy? Like, did you guys kind of pick up what it was saying, or I guess I'll defer to Meow Wolf first.
As far as well, I mean, like the one in the book, right? Yeah, I mean, like it definitely seemed like it was like a driving force in the storyline for in trying to figure out, like, is this book true, is this book not true.
So I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I think maybe this is something I kind of was unclear about. So ultimately, like everybody having to call Meow Wolf my lord was the like kind of hag trick of the of kind of like the witchlight monarch and like identifying who's who. But but within like the realm of this game, this prophecy is like a real prophecy. Was that true? And I feel like it was distinguishing those two things and like being confused if they were connected or if they were just coincidence.
That's a good question. So the Witchlight Monarch is chosen by like who brings the most joy to the carnival. And the hags basically like had placed an enchantment around that mechanic and been like, if the adventuring party has the Witchlight Monarch, whoever was crowned, in it, all Fey creatures would be forced to call them my king, my lord, whatever, and they would know, oh, this person is from the Witchlight Monarch, which means they know what's up, and we can like spot them and get them out of here. So it was like a protection thing for them. The Frog Prince was something that I came up with, and it kind of stemmed from, I wasn't sure at the begin, like in that point in the game, I wasn't sure how Zybilna would be like at the end, because she's supposed to be not as benevolent. So I wasn't sure if you guys were gonna go along with the whole time Zybilna should be queen. So I was like kind of like laying the groundwork for like, okay, if Zybilna's not queen, who is gonna step up? And so the three options that the prophecy kind of like laid out was Molly, Molly, Blanc, or Meow Wolf. And the prophecy.
Could you read? Do you have it handy? Do you have it like handy?
Yeah, I do. Hold up. Okay, so one day the Fae will become divided, evil will spread across the land, and leaders will go mad with power. There is a prophecy that there will be a true ruler to reunite the realms. The three fates disagree on who this person is. The three fates are the three hags, by the way. They were each meant to represent the past, present, and future. So the past believes that a previous archfey will reclaim the crown and rule forever after. So that's obviously Zybilna. The present believes that there is a Fae who has the power to reunite the kingdoms, but would never seek such power for themselves, meaning that the prophecy will never be fulfilled. Blanc.
Okay.
The future believes that this ruler is not of Fey origin and only an outsider can unite the kingdoms together in progress. Meow Wolf. And then the stained glass windows showed Molly, because they it was basically like, and a secret fourth option for maybe I was gonna have like, I had kind of hinted that Molly had like very magical, like powerful wizard origins, like about her father and stuff. So I was gonna be like, oh, like maybe Molly had like a previous archfey in her family, and then she would like become the new ruler. Depending on if Zybilna lived, if she didn't, if you guys managed to rescue her or not. But yeah, it was all like the idea of whoever the Witchlight monarch was could have been a ruler is something that I wanted to do at the beginning.
Got it. Very, very interesting. So that means that ultimately, like, it was kind of like, so the prophecy of Meow Wolf becoming the the king of all the realms did not happen, but he still becomes king nonetheless.
Well, it says
Okay.
unite kingdoms together in progress. He kind of does that.
It's true in terms of saving them.
Yeah. So Meow Wolf does kind of complete the prophecy of uniting specific kingdoms together and like progressing them forward. But yeah, I was going to, I also didn't know like how like attached those characters would become, and like I also had contingency plans for like, oh, if shit went really south, like who would come to your aid and rescue. And I had already had Sir Talavar and come back, and so I was like, he's probably not going to come back a third time. So I was going to have like Molly and Blanc come and save the day.
Interesting. Got it.
Yeah.
Sir Talfar came in clutch hella times.
He did. He did. What's super funny is you guys loved him, and my home campaign thought he was a dingus. My home campaign completely were like, he sucks. Like, take him away, which is so funny.
That is. Did you play him similarly with the same accent and stuff?
I think so. I think my home game also has a dragon character in it. So that, and I'm doing a little bit of a different, they're gonna have like, there's like a whole like dragon moon like subplot going on in my home game. And so they essentially, like, the dragon character kind of thinks that Sir Talavar is like an idiot, that he got himself like trapped, but also at the same time was raised at the carnival, so he kind of doesn't know jack shit about being a dragon. So he just like kept him up all night being like, what's it like being a dragon? You know, da-da-da-da-da. What do you eat? Like, do you have a lot of like dragon friends? Da-da-da-da. And Sir Talavar was like, the home game is a little bit more like less lovey-dovey than you guys are, if I'm gonna be honest. Like, you guys were very much like the power of friendship, and they're like the power of murder. Like, they're a lot like every problem is a nail and I am a hammer.
Got it.
Yeah, they're a lot less concerned with the well-being of everyone. So I kind of play up like that the realm has like delved a little bit into like the naughty, not nice side because of the like the hags influence. So everyone's just like a little bit more of a dick in my own game.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. It's I'm sure it's actually, even though you're playing the game 3 times, it's like a brand new game every time because of the different players.
Oh yeah. I would say like this campaign I did really by the book. And I had prepped you guys for a pretty long time to play. And so we had very strong this is what we are doing when we get in there. And you guys were also very like you guys like picked up everything. You guys did not stray from the book that hard. Like a lot of times I've had I don't want to say a lot of times, but there's been incidents, right? Like where you like set up a plot hook and they're like, gee, that's a nice plot hook. Would be a shame if we went the completely other way. You guys were just like, oh, we're doing this now? Sweet. And just like went straight down the line. You guys were very goal oriented, so it was easy for me to be like, okay, next session we're doing this, next session we're doing this. I would say my home game has a lot of like very slow burn things that are happening and like a lot more homebrew specific things that we're doing. Like one character has amnesia, one character's a dragon, like, and since it's in person, you know, we play for a lot longer, and so it's a lot easier to like take up a lot more time, where we were like playing like, you know, only 2 hours at a time. And I was like, okay, what are we doing for these 2 hours? Like you guys were not very distractible, which I think was a blessing. The third campaign that's about to launch, I have some seasoned players who I've played with in a bunch of games, and 2 DMs at the table as well. And they're really, really heavy into role play. So I kind of know now what I don't want to do, like, or things that I felt like didn't go anywhere or was like unnecessary.
Yeah.
And so I think they will get a little bit more of like an edited dealio, but they have a lot of room to like spread their wings and like create moments for themselves.
Got it.
There was also different attachments in each one. Like, the only attachment in this game was Harper, was Zybilna, and you came in halfway through. Whereas some of the other attachments in my other 2 games, like they are attached to people in the Witchlight Carnival, and have like different loyalties in different places. Like you guys weren't very like chained to anyone or anything. That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm curious, what kind of your like overall, like how much, like kind of like what were your thoughts on business module as just compared to other modules or things that like you've done campaigns from, and like related and kind of showing like something that I guess didn't like, not like so strongly that I was like, man, this sucks, but like I found like narratively a little bit strange was like how much just the Witchlight Carnival just like gets dropped and they're like, you just forget about it forever.
Yes, I 100% agree with that.
How common is that in modules? And like even trying to like, if I can think of like a TV show or like an example, or maybe ones I haven't watched but like I've heard about, of like where you're like, wow, okay, I have not watched Riverdale because it's not my type of TV, but like I've heard where people are like, wow, you know, it was like this was, it starts out as like a high school
and then it becomes a whole other ass thing. Yeah.
And then it's like murder detectives in space.
Yeah, that's a great question. But that's a great fucking question. I didn't like go on when I started writing this campaign for you guys, like I did next to no like research beyond the actual module itself. I didn't look on Reddit. I didn't look on like the forums or anything to be like, change this, change that. I really only did that like basically when we were well into the campaign and I had to start prepping for my other one where I was like, okay, what are people changing about this?
Okay.
I also like this is one of the things that really surprised me. One of the like first videos I watched about it, the guy was like, I've never had a group spend more than 4 hours in the carnival. And I was like, what? Because I'm out here spending like 8 episodes in the carnival. Like I make the carnival last as long as possible because it is such a fun idea and it is endless potential for like role playing, and I think it's an amazing icebreaker for like a party that doesn't know each other. And there's a lot of like really interesting ways that you can go about doing things. I personally think that the witch, like the actual carnival itself, is like could be its own. I don't want to say, like it could be a mini campaign.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. That's how it really actually felt. Like it kind of felt like two separate
campaigns. Yeah. It did. I think that is where the module like really lacks is connecting some of these things back onto each other. Another character that I invented was Lady Duckington. Like
all the best characters were Dee creation.
Yeah.
Really.
So like which is interesting because it was like the characters that you guys like really got attached to were the characters that I made up, which kind of shows like how the book created some of the characters. You guys were really into Sir Talavar, who is in the book. But they give you, I think I was like, they don't give you a ton on all these characters, right? Like they give you a stat sheet and they give you basic stuff, right? But like, other than that, it's really up to you to like kind of flesh these characters out. And there's so many of them that you don't have time to flesh out every fucking character that you're going to talk to. I wish there was a way to connect the carnival throughout the whole thing. And it just, I could not find a way to do it. I think the Witchlight Carnival, like that main part is an amazing, if you want to just have like a 4 episode new table icebreaker, phenomenal. I thought that was the best part. Like one of the funnest parts that I've had with any of my tables. I love starting out there. People love the idea. Every time I pitch it and I start with, we start in a haunted carnival or like a fey carnival, everyone's eyes like light up. And I think it's like one of the best plot hooks for the beginning of the campaign. And then you go into the Feywild. Bringing it back to the original question, I haven't run a ton of other modules. I would say where Wizards of the Coast like really lacks is they give you a lot of information about stuff that doesn't come up, like or stuff that you're just like, cool, I'm not gonna do that. Like there was so, you guys, the palace was like 30 episodes worth of bullshit. And I was like, we are. Yes, the Palace of Hearts designer had so much shit in there that I was like, absolutely not. I'm combining like each of these things into like 5 micro events. Like, like I just could like, and we were at the end of the campaign. I was like, what's fucking stopping us from just running on through? There was supposed to be a whole bunch of puzzles that I was like, there's no way that my table's going to want to do that. And like, I was able to kind of like cut and paste what I wanted out of that and just be like, cool, we're going through. And narratively, I had Harper, right? So I was like, well, Harper knows this castle like the back of her hand. So I could just kind of skip through. I think, I honestly think that modules sometimes are not good at focusing on what the players are going to be into. Because if they were, the carnival would be like a way longer thing. I loved how they broke it up into like 3 arcs. I felt like some of the random encounters were too random, and I didn't do all of them.
Yeah, like the other like bunny was like that whole thing, and then like that.
And then he just never comes up. Yeah, like I think this one was really, really lacking in. Here is a whole character that has some really interesting stuff going on, and then they just straight up, you never hear from them again. Which was really frustrating for me, because I was like, but the characters are going to fall in love with these people, and then they just never pop back up. Like, or matter in any way. Or like, they could just skip through this, and there was no repercussions for it. So I really only kept with the ones that I thought were going to be interesting enough to actually give you guys some like role play opportunities or like battle opportunities, but I skipped quite a bit of random encounters. I cut down on the travel time quite a bit. And there was like, what was I going to say specifically? Yeah, Agdon. So there is supposed to be like, if you steal his scarf is cursed, and then you have like a cursed scarf on. So there are things that like could happen that would like negatively or positively affect your players. But I don't think the book does a very good job of like being like, and here's how you get to the next part. I did read later that the whole thing is technically based on the Wizard of Oz, which I was like, oh, now that they said that, I totally see it. And part of it was you were supposed to technically have guides for all 3 of the entrances into each one. I didn't do that. So the 3 guides were supposed to be
Kinda did that.
I kind of, but I didn't.
Like
I did not do the. I didn't do the specific people who were supposed to be the guides.
Yeah, because like when Meow Wolf and Zindi first arrived into the Fae, they technically were able to find people and they guided them around. You know what I mean?
It was supposed to be Clapperclaw, who like leads you into the second part. And then there was supposed to be a character who I completely scrapped called Squirt the Oil Can as the second guy.
That was a really good choice. I don't know anything about that, but we're not the same generation, but I like but maybe I don't know. Are you guys, any of you guys familiar with the Humongous Entertainment line of PC education games from the late 90s?
No.
Okay. It sounds like the 4 franchises were Putt Putt about a car.
Yeah, I remember Putt Putt, yeah.
Putt Putt, Freddy the Fish, Pajama Sam, and the best, Spy Fox. But if that sounds like a Putt Putt, that sounds like a Putt Putt character. Hey, what? Was the oil can? Like,
it was so random. It was so random, and I was like, no, my characters already are attached. Like, I just couldn't keep throwing more characters onto you guys, and I already threw a lot more. And I think Amador was supposed to be the 3rd one. And he turned out to be a little bit more of like a wet blanket than in the book, which I kind of liked. Yeah, it was supposed to be that like you find him in the workshop. I don't know. It was too much. I was much more focused on Zindi's like arc at that point, that I was just like, here's a character that definitely not going to care about. We already had too many sentient things at that point. And then I was gonna say, Will also, like, the idea to give you like a half brother was also my idea. He was supposed to be an Oni, which is like a forest spirit, and he's just like pretending to be a child. Which again, I worked really hard on like connecting things for you guys, because I felt like too many things happened in a vacuum. Like, oh, that was cool. We'll never hear from them again.
Yeah.
I love the way that you introduced Will of like the wanted poster, somebody that just looks like looks a lot like Zindi. I thought that was just like that again. The frog print book. You have like a lot of great examples of just like kind of creating a little bit of intrigue and like mystery that I always thought just like made you be like, it also makes sense that I guess I feel like the characters, so many of the characters that we liked so much were homebrew, probably for the purpose of like you knew your table and you knew the character, you knew your players and like what like we were reacting to, so you were able to build the experience.
Yeah, I would definitely say any DM who's running this module, like, just pick and choose what you're gonna do, and then just kind of fill in the gaps with whatever you think your table is gonna find fun. Like, don't just completely do this character because it says you have to have this character. Like, I could have taken out the League of Malevolence and Valor's Call completely. Wouldn't have changed anything. Like, it was just a narratively interesting, like, oh, there's some disruption within like the good guy thing, but there were a lot of people who I could have cut out completely, and I don't think it would have made a difference on the story. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Zindi. Like, I kind of focused things on what you guys were enjoying, and I think my main call out was I really wish things connected a little bit more and things like felt like they mattered more, like there was like higher stakes, and that the Witchlight Carnival was like more involved past the first part of the session. Maybe there would be a way to do that. Maybe like you're traveling through the Fae, that could be a thing, but the carnival in of itself is just such a fun area. I think it really could be a standalone thing.
Yeah, I totally could. Yeah, that was honestly one of the best campaigns I've played in my life.
Oh, thanks, Sam. That means a lot.
And honestly, the fucking dice we got are such an amazing flex, too. And my beautiful little dice bag. Like, I gotta say again, dude, I flexed these dice on people, and they're just like, those are amazing.
I'm gonna have to tell Sally.
Yeah, I'm like, look, they look like a tropical frog, and I show them to people, and they're like, they absolutely do.
I died and went to heaven when I realized that there was like, it was a frog prince with this crown, and the crown had a little butterfly, like for the Witchlight Monarch. I was like, has there been a more perfect bag?
No, it was it literally is just so beautiful. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I had a ton of fun running this campaign for you guys. I am definitely sad to see it go, but I know we're gonna have fun adventures in the future. I told Harper this, but I'll tell you guys what. Or my last thing is what my contingency plan for the Jabberwock battle, which is the battle that I was like, they might die, and it might be my fault. Yeah. So I was going to basically have it so that Endolin made you guys into puppets, and I was gonna make like basically a new stat sheet for you where you guys were technically warforged. But you guys
That's
were
so
puppets, and you guys would have like kind of skipped ahead, and like
Hilarious.
and like gone past some of the palace, but like been in her workshop, and it would have turned into like how to escape the workshop, and then also how to defeat her using like your new abilities and stuff. So it would have been like
Genius.
not really a death, but like a transformation. So that was my
Yeah.
contingency plan for that.
That was actually a really good contingency plan for that. I wouldn't have known what to do if I'd accidentally killed players, because I've done it before. Where like a player is just like insanely clumsy, and they literally just like they practically stepped on a dragon's tail.
Yeah.
Like in an enclosed space.
Yeah.
And they like failed all their rolls, and like literally
You're just like, I don't know. You're dead. I'm sorry.
There was no attack. There was nothing that the dragon had that would have been soft enough to not kill the player.
Yeah. I'll shout out Noah on this. Noah told me like a long time ago, he was basically like, death doesn't have to mean death in D&D. And like personally, it would have been wild to kill you guys right at the end when it was like, oh, this was about to pay off. And like I could have gone a couple different ways with it, but I don't think that you guys would have been as invested as completely different people. So when Noah was like, a death doesn't have to mean a death, like you can kind of basically give them circumstances that changes things, and maybe like heightens the stakes a little bit, but isn't like a true death. And I was like, this is perfect, because she had already turned Zybilna into a puppet, and it would have also presented a interesting thing of like, I knew that you guys were gonna have wishes at the end, and I was like, are they gonna use their wish to become like a not Warforged again, or are they like okay with their new form? So that was like also something I was gonna play with. But yeah, that was my contingency plan on that.
Awesome. How many contingency plans did you have to create for this type of campaign?
There were times when I was like, I really don't know about this fight. Like the Jabberwock fight was when I was like, fuck. Like I really was like, I don't know. Because, and part of that is because I hadn't really told you guys to build fighter characters. I had told you guys to build like roleplay characters. So, any type of fight to me was like, I don't know, man, there's been times when I've been rolling really hot and that you guys aren't rolling so hot, and or I was also prepared for like, there were maybe a couple of times where I was like, I wonder if this character is going to stay behind. Like that was a very real thing for me, like when like Zindi could have fucked off with like her family. I was like, oh, well, I was like, Jasmine could pick another character, and then I would, you know, da-da-da. So there were like moments where I was like expecting maybe something like that to happen, but I didn't start planning for contingencies until stakes were very, very high, like at the end. Or I had ideas of like, I could do this if X, Y, and Z happens.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool.
I usually don't think about that, like the possibilities of contingency plans. Like, I just haven't had a situation unroll out until I accidentally killed someone's character.
And
yeah, that did not go well. They left the campaign.
I also death and dying in a campaign is also something that I do tend to talk about people with at the beginning, and I usually have 2 questions around it. I go, 1, are you okay with your character dying? And I've had players be like, no, or yes. I've also had characters be like, it's kind of pertinent that my character lives basically up until the end. And like I'm like in my All Guys Ragnarok one of my players, like his whole arc is about the literal end game that's supposed to happen in like basically 8 years of gameplay. So I'm like, okay, like you're gonna live the whole time. But then I have another player at that same table who I kind of was like, it would be narratively interesting if you died.
Or
and they were
characters
like,
die. Yeah.
And then they were like, that's I'm
great.
down for that.
That's great because I feel like so many times in TV and stuff, I've been like, damn, you know what? I kind of wish this the character died. Like I wish that the writers or creators like took enough risk of like killing a main character. Like that's crazy, right? But like it can do such like obviously I think that there's like shows and like fiction that almost like overuse it. I haven't watched Game of Thrones, but they're like everybody dies. Saga, everybody dies. Attack on Titan, everybody dies, and like
right,
it can
become much. It can be heavy-handed.
Yes, and then it can just become another kind of predictable. But like, if you're not afraid to make it like happen when it might, then it can really create just amazing stories.
Yeah. So one, I do think it's a discussion between you and the player.
Absolutely.
Two,
you want people to have fun.
You want people. That's always my number one thing. And 2, having a companion or like or your familiar die is also something that I try and talk about, especially now. You guys were like my first table where like people got really attached to their animal companions and they're like awakened. So I was like, okay, this is more than just like your work animal dying. Like this is literally another character at the table dying. And in the campaign that Lindsay and I play in, I also have an animal companion, not awakened, just a regular ass animal companion. And I literally told my DM, I was like, do not kill this animal. I was like, I don't mind if my character dies, if it narratively makes sense, but do not kill my animal companion. And like there was like a long while where he got like lost. And I was like, I will burn this town down. Like, if he dies.
I bet.
So, like, it's interesting, like, to see that dynamic as well. Because I've literally had everything in between of, like, people being like, yeah, I'm totally down for my player to die. Ready to sacrifice their animal companion, to me, where I'm like, no, yeah, my character can die. But if my animal companion dies, like, I will leave. Like... So, I think it's another thing that should be talked about, like, between the DM and player, because, you also don't know, like, how a death can affect someone, and like, how comfortable they are with role-playing such a emotional thing. So that is always something that I try and go over in like session 0 and consent sheets. But I think when it's narratively pertinent, it can be amazing. As long as everyone's on board, I think it's great. But it was very interesting how we were like, we have a bunch of awakened animals, and like how that ended up playing out. And that was actually one of my favorite like happy accidents, because I never planned on you guys awakening the animals. That was fully like y'all's idea, and it turned into such a really cool moment. Like I remember like when Meow Wolf is like being scolded by Molly, and Molly's like, "You fucking awakened like a apex predator. Like, do you not understand like what you have done?" And like Meow Wolf was
really
like,
smart.
mind blown. Which I think is like kind of also interesting for Meow Wolf in particular, because of his past as like being taught spells, etc., etc.
And like is a frog, a talking frog.
Yeah,
It's
like,
the like
There's like
Where's the
actual
line?
like, there's actual like animal frogs, and then there's my race that resembles animal frogs.
It's the goofy Pluto.
Yeah.
It's the goofy Pluto debate for sure. Yeah, there was a lot of things that you guys did that surprised me, and I was always super delighted in being surprised in like I gotta shout you guys out, like some of the most creative spell usage I've ever seen, like and just like in clutch moments you guys were like, okay, here's my idea. You guys did not do a whole lot of like, this tends to happen at a lot of tables, which I don't think is a bad thing, but can be like something that slows the campaign down, where it's like, we are talking about the plan for an extended period of time, and then the plan goes out the window immediately. You guys were more like, we're making up the plan as we go along, okay? We're just doing things and hoping they work.
We did have that. We did have to have that. We tried something and then we failed so badly we had to go back.
Yeah.
That's right. When I went in to pretend to be the frog prince, and I'm like out of character, out of the character, I had a neurological failure on what happened. So I literally like went blank in game, and then was like, I run out of there. Let's get the fuck out of here.
And that was so interesting to me too, because so often you see players just like never running away, right? Like, and a lot of time it's like pushed by the DM, right? Like the DM will purposely be like, you should run away from this fight. I have clearly stated how bad this is going to be for you guys, and you guys should run. And instead, you guys ran when you were like, my character would run. My character, like, you guys were very adamant about, like, no children dying on your watch. Like, you guys took every opportunity to, like, protect others, and were, like, the absolute opposite of, like, the murder hobo energy that you normally see, which I thought was really, really fun and interesting, because I was like, oh, you guys, like, care about stuff. So now I can kind of, like, mess with that a little bit. But yeah, I've never seen a table, like, just straight up be like, nope, fuck this, and, like, run away, because they were, like, afraid of, like, one child dying. Like, not even all of them, just one.
I remember we were horrified when we came onto the Chucklehead scene.
Yes, and it was like Chucklehead would I had stated that he was an asshole. I was like, Chucklehead was an asshole, but he got nice in the like past few weeks, and even then you guys were like, but he was nice to us. He didn't deserve his fate. And I was like, damn. So that, I mean, like, I just felt like all of the decisions you guys made were just so character driven, and cool. I really appreciated that, because it made my job really easy. I never felt like, oh, this is the player making this decision for this character. I always felt like you guys deferred to what would my character do, but in like the literal best way possible.
That's cool, because I tried to do that, but I wasn't always sure. Like, sometimes I was like, man, I feel like this is just, like, Jasmine. Or, like, I wasn't sure if it felt actually character-driven.
Well, I think, we're the ones who create our characters, and there's a little bit of us in each of the characters that we create.
Course.
So sometimes, like, some stuff bleeds in from fantasy to real life, and like it would be silly to think that your own personal human morals and values and like opinions wouldn't compromise how you feel about something happening in the game.
Yeah.
You know?
But you guys always
So-
found a narratively based reason to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, that's actually, this is one of the first times I played a druid. I usually always play bard. And it's because I enjoy bringing solutions that aren't murder to the table. Like, literally, bards always like, ha-cha-cha-cha-cha, to solve a problem, as opposed to, just murdering.
Yeah.
So it was cool. It was
You guys committed
refreshing to,
very
like,
little murder.
That is true. Who did we murder, actually?
Besides the hags?
Yeah.
I guess Agdon?
Oh, we killed the frog, the frog prince. Like, I obliterated, like, the frog, the like the hopeful for the queen. I, like,
King
outright
Gullop?
just killed him. No, it wasn't the king. It was like there was like a group of bullywugs, and there was a dude that wanted to be the.
There were like revolution bullywugs. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think I was just like, die, I will do this.
You definitely felt like you were doing the right thing, though.
It's true. Did they threaten us, or like I don't even remember if they threatened us. I think I just came in and blew them away.
I think they threatened King Gullop or the plan, if I remember correctly. But I think it was like, we're gonna take out King Gullop, and you guys at that point had already made a pact to like make it look like an accident, and then they were like, we're gonna take this accident and make it real. Which could have happened
true.
if you guys hadn't decided to get rid of them. But yeah, Agdon, I guess.
Yeah,
Or did you guys let him
was
go?
Which one?
The bunny rat, the other Herringon. I think this was before Harper joined us, so
I
quite a while ago.
No, the Herringon. We got in a big fight, and with the Herringon, and they started kicking our ass, and they like left.
Oh yes, Klarga. That's right. Klarga basically told them to knock it off, and they left.
Yeah, because of, like, she got like rolled a nat 20 on intimidation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, very little murder. Outside of the hags, maybe some goblins died in the fire that Harper set. But very, very few just like needless killing, you know?
I will say it's kind of refreshing to come into a campaign where murder is not the first choice in resolving a conflict. Because all the other games that I've played previous to this one, that was always like the choice. And any time that I personally tried to like do something that like persuade someone or intimidate someone, it would be fine, and I'd be praised for like, oh, that was so creative of you. But in my mind, I always thought, yeah, but why do we always like have to?
Why are we always killing people?
Why do we always have to stab someone? You know what I mean? And then like I think having that kind of mindset coming into this, especially upon my first fight with you all, I remember after the game feeling very frustrated IRL, being like, I don't like that I got my butt kicked, and I don't like feeling like we as a team didn't like defeat the enemy, and they were just like, ha ha ha, jokes on you. And then realizing that like, no, that's good for the story, it's good for motivation, it's good to like, it's okay to get your butt kicked every now and again, and have to be creative in your problem solving, and then moving forward, like, you know, creatively thinking of different ways of like not murdering. Unless,
Yeah.
obviously.
Because I
don't
definitely...
know, it was very refreshing.
I definitely told you guys to build your characters, like, not to fight. And, like, I think maybe, like, as you
Zindi
leveled up, you definitely...
did not have...
Yeah.
Zindi did definitely not have
Zindi
the power
jack
to
shit.
fight at all.
True
Nada.
bard. True bard of bullshit over here. But
Garbage.
I think it was, again, very narratively interesting. And it kind of like forced you guys to come up with different ways on how to handle things. Which, again, supposedly you're supposed to be able to go through the whole module, like, or you can go through the whole module without fighting. I don't know a single table who would do that, because combat can be fun, but you know, there were opportunities. Like, me prefacing that, I think really did set you guys up to build characters that were not focused on killing, and especially because the first 8 hours, like in the Witchlight Carnival, it specifically is no killing, and you have to just figure out whatever you do from there. That's honestly one of the more interesting things of the module, is like that quirk about it.
Yeah, it made when things did die really, really epic.
Yes. Yeah, it had more weight, because you guys weren't just randomly killing shit all the time.
Like, we felt terrible about the little Daisy, like, and then he like went.
Oh, poor Amador. Yeah, honestly, I didn't feel bad about killing her.
Flower.
Yeah, I didn't feel that bad about killing her. I
thought it was really funny that, like, she sucked. Like, right, you're like, oh, like the beautiful Polinella, and then she's like, I hate everybody. I love killing all of my hives.
Well, I was like, this is completely how she would be. Like, she's the queen. Like, she doesn't give a shit about these, like, worker bees. And that is how, like, bee colonies are. Like, hundreds of worker bees, like, die all the time. So it's like, they're not, like, she's not concerned.
Does Amador find love in the garden that he's now planted in?
I'm so glad that you took him to the garden instead of forcing him.
I was so happy about that. I was like, please, don't do this.
I mean, let's be fucking for real for a second. There was, like, he was gonna die.
He was gonna die.
That would have just been a really sad way to go.
What's really fun is, as a D&D player, I'm like, no, we could have used him for flanking. I'm like, who cares? They attack him first. Like,
there were like a lot of characters where they were like, and then this character decides to stay behind for no reason, and that's like what was supposed to happen with Amador, was like he like chickens out in the middle of it, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then, so narratively, when it came up of like, we don't force this poor broken man to continue on, I was like, oh, bless. And I think
poor broken flower.
There's poor broken flower. Yes, there was actually a whole ass subplot with Polinella that didn't come up. But basically, you guys had failed your like stealth check against the Cyclops.
Oh, with the thing, yeah.
Yeah, the Cyclops was there. There was basically room for an interaction with the Cyclops, and and then you guys were supposed to be like, but they love each other, and then the Cyclops like didn't understand the meaning of love, and so you would have had to like teach him about the meaning of love, which I thought would have been a cute opportunity, but you guys like did so well on the stealth check. I was like, and he fucks off. Yeah, so Polinella was also just supposed to be a bee. Like, she didn't really have too much characterization. It was my choice to like kind of make her a bitch, but I was like, that's how she would be. And Amador's just a simp. Let's say that he falls in love with a beautiful rose.
Oh.
Yeah. He likes him feisty.
Rosa.
Rosa.
Hilarious.
All right, guys. I am Unless I'm very tired. If anyone else, if you guys have any last questions, speak now.
I don't have a question, but I do just want to say thank you so much to all of you, because coming into this midpoint it felt a little daunting, and especially because there was already character development between Zindi and Meow Wolf. So I wasn't sure how the dynamic of just like a new random person was gonna be. Also, you guys were the first table to be in that did not involve my husband being there, which, like, I know sounds silly, but I felt very nervous about that, being in a campaign that didn't involve him, because he was the one who introduced me to D&D, so in a way it felt like a security blanket. So to be able to feel like confident in my skills and make new friends with all of you was really such a joy to like watch week after week after week. So thank you for that.
Oh.
Yay! Thanks, guys. I really had a great time. I have played, like, started campaigns, and I think maybe had like longest of like 3 rounds in the past, but have never played a long campaign. And honestly, I think, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, more experienced players, but like, it can be a little bit rare to like complete a campaign.
Yes.
It is rare.
So
Rare.
I had a great time. Yeah, congratulations, Liz, too, on doing like your first by yourself.
And
Yeah.
Linz, just to tell you, I don't know if I ever told you this, but you were my first and only choice. I was like, if Lindsay doesn't join, I won't ask anyone else.
Well, it's very flattering. I appreciate that.
What were you gonna say, Em? Sorry.
Oh, that was it. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you also. That it was wonderful playing with all of you as well. And I'm sad it's over, but I'm sure that's not the last time we're gonna play, because we got the vampire campaign coming up.
Yep, vampires coming next year.
I do hope
Cheers,
that
folks.
the 3 of us get to be party members at some point in the future.
Amazing.
I don't think that I will have the energy to do a full 2-year campaign. Crazy. But I'm really liking in my brain the idea of like
mini side
one
quest?
shot, couple shot. Yeah, I'm like already thinking of like just opportunities to like try like weirder, or just for me, I realized at like about halfway through, I was like, the basic bitch like first campaign like choice for a character. I was like, I don't know, like bird, like, and seeing both and Lynn's, and also like Luna too, like play like, I don't know, like more interesting races, and just like I was like, oh, I want to be like an old lady, like orc or something, like just get really, really specific, really different, have fun playing with it.
But for your first character, I think it worked really well, because you were able to focus on the arc. Like, you were the one that had an arc really fleshed out that I could take and like kind of mold. Whereas Meow Wolf's narrative was very organic as like the Witchlight Monarch. That sort of developed during the campaign. But our literal imaginings for Meow Wolf was like, he's just a weird little guy. Like, he's got a talking back. Like, he's got trauma from the past. Like, we didn't really have anything overarching that we wanted to accomplish during the game. That was all kind of organic. And then Klarga was like, I'm tired of the carnival. And that was pretty much it. So I appreciated your character, and I feel like it also gave you room to kind of like stretch out and like feel your oats a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
I
you
hope everyone
guys
has a
so
wonderful
much.
holiday and
Yes.
very happy. Bye.
Have a good night.
Guys.
Bye.
Besito.
Thank you.